Good morning, Rinpochela.
Hello, good morning. Good
Yeah,
morning.
can
Pleasure
you
to
hear
that.
me? Can you hear me, Rinpochela?
I can hear you very well. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah. Welcome back.
yes. Thank you so much, Rinpochela. I'm
Yes,
so glad to see you again, Rinpochela.
yes.
I'm
Same here.
sorry that during the last 2 weeks I was too busy with my business so that I cannot
I know, I
come in.
know. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
just
I
here for you,
understand.
Rinpochela.
I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
We all missed you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rinpochela.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, no. It's very good. Zangye, Chedan, Zoye, Chanam, Lan, Chanju, Bardo, Dane, Gyabzo, Chen, Dagye, Chuche, Gyebe, Sanam, Nola, Benjire, Zangye, Drubara, Shu, Zangye, Chedan, Zoye, Chanam, La, Chanju, Bardo, Dane, Gyabzo, Dagye, Chuche, Gyebe, Sanam, Gye, Nola, Benjire, Zangye, Drubara, Shu, Zangye, Chedan, Zoye, Chanam, Chanchu bardo nani gyatso jen dagi chushen geben sunam gen jalan pinjiri sangyen drupara sho zan shimbu yin rupu shimen dhamay rabai rin Yende oye boende sangye jin doi mende oye mue wai joy gui namai dai shin la Mandala Gamniriyandara Yami. So today's topic will be on the 12 links of dependent origination. 12 links of dependent origination. So we did cover two of the 12 links last week, but basically today we will do the complete set of the 12 links once again, because this is very important. Yeah. So the 12 links of dependent origination is something that Buddha himself taught in the Vinaya Sutras, as well as in the sutra, in some other sutras. And so basically, we talk about when we talk about Buddhism, we always talk about the karma, the concept of karma. And the in the in the sorry, Pratitya Samutpadaya Sutra. Pratitya Samutpada basically means dependent origination. So I will explain a little bit about the word itself, dependent origination. So in the dependent origination, the Sutra of the dependent origination, Buddha explained the intricate process of how karma works. Mm. So the 12 links of dependent origination. So dependent origination. So you will see two types of translation in some of the books. So let's say if you're reading in English, you will find one translation saying dependent arising, and another saying dependent origination. So with like original. So these both of these translations are not wrong, because it comes from two different terms. One is Tendel in Tibetan, the other, which means dependent connection or dependent arising, and the other one is Tenjung, which is dependent origination. So whether you are saying dependent arising or dependent origination, they're both correct. Yeah, yeah. So the full form of the when we say Tendel in Tibetan, the full form of the word Tendel is Tenjing Delwar Jungwa. So basically, the word Tenjung and Tendel are both in the same phrase. So you're just phrasing it differently. In any case, dependent origination. So when we talk about the Buddha's teaching, I mean, we always talk about Buddha gave the teaching on the law of causality, karma all the time. So where did the concept of karma came about? Where was it explicitly mentioned? The So where would you find the detailed process of how karma works and all these things? Where would you find this? Yeah, then you would find that in the Sutra of Dependent Origination. This, yeah. So the dependent origination, the term dependent has two meaning. One is the more simpler, simple form of simple meaning, simple form, and the other one is more profound, deeper. So the simple meaning is accepted or hmm, is widely accepted by all the Buddhist schools. So there is the four main school of Buddhist thought. So all the schools of Buddhism accept the idea of dependent origination in the more simple form. Uh, so the simple form of dependent origination basically means from that comes this. Mm. In the sutra itself, the Buddha started speaking on the 12 links of dependent origination by saying, from that comes this, and from this comes that. So from that comes this, from that comes this. So from that cause comes this effect. From that cause comes this result. From that action comes this consequence. From that father comes this son. And eventually the son will become a father and give birth to a son, give birth to another father, and this will continue. And it will keep continuing like that. So this is the simple understanding of Pratitya Samutpada or dependent origination. So this type or um, um, this understanding of dependent origination is accepted by all forms of Buddhist school of thought. Yeah. On the more profound level, dependent origination or now dependent arising, it basically means that it's based on the same teaching. From that comes this, right? Uh, but it is not necessarily talking about something something producing another thing. When you say the son comes from the father is the parents are producing the children, and the children produce more children, etc. So in the context of a more profound level of the dependent origination, you're not necessarily talking about producing or generating the effect from by the cause, but the cause coming into the picture, sorry, the result, the effect coming into the picture because of the cause. So the effect is not created by the cause, but it comes into the picture because of the cause. So in the first understanding, we have the cause and this comes from that, the son comes from the father, the apple comes from the apple tree, right, etc. So there is a cause and effect kind of relation there. Now in the more profound understanding, uh, the dependency, right, the dependent, when we say the dependent arising, dependent origination, the dependency is not necessarily because one a is generating or creating B. It is not because of that, but but without A, there will not be B. Hmm? Like, so now we are talking about, let's say, the five aggregates, for example. Yeah. So when you take away the five aggregates, there is no person, no being. Yeah. Let's say a table. So when you take the legs of the table, the platform on the table, when you take away each item, each item that makes up the table, then the table is no longer there. So the parts of the table and the table are um, uh, dependent upon each other. So for the table to labeled as a table, it needs to have its part, the legs, the shelves, the platform, everything. And for the legs and the platform and everything to exist, there has to be a table. So the table and the legs of the table are interconnected, all right, or dependent upon each other. Um, so that is the more profound form of dependent arising. So for an organization to exist, there has to be the members of an organization. And without the members in an organization, the organization ceases to exist. There is no organization without its members. But without the organization, the members also wouldn't be there. So the members are dependent upon the organization to exist as a member. And then the organization has to have a member to exist as an organization. So there is the dual dependency or dual interconnectedness mm, um, being there. So that form of understanding, that form of interdependency, or that form of dependent origination is the profound interdependency. Mm. So when you put it that way, it doesn't seem that profound. Why is this called more profound? Actually, the father and son and the fruit and the tree, that kind of the concept of dependent origination based on father son cause and effect, fruit and tree, they seem more profound, more intricate than the concept of the table being dependent on its legs and the legs being dependent on the table, or the um, the parts of an organism depending on them, and vice versa, etc. So it seems like the previous one is more intricate, more sophisticated, and it is so. It is more complicated. The father-son connection, the fruit tree connection, that seems more sophisticated and more complicated until you bring into the picture that no parts exist on its own without uh, the the organization, or the main object. Let's say the body. Yeah. The body exists because there is the fluid inside, the bones, the blood, the skin, the flesh. All these things constitute the constituents make the body whole. Mm. And without the constituents, there is no body, and without the body, the constituents also cease to exist. So there is no independent body. There is no independent parts. So in that regard, there is no independent self. There is no independent table. There is no independent car. When you take away all the parts that make up a car, there is no car. So basically, the lack of independent entity, the lack of independent entity, that part is the most difficult to understand. So without understanding the lack of an independent entity, you will not understand dependent origination as it is. I mean, it's easy to explain, it's easy to imagine intellectually, but to have a deeper understanding, grasping of that dependent origination is much more difficult. So that lack of independent entity is basically what we call emptiness. So in order to understand dependent origination at the most profound level, one has to have understanding of emptiness prehand. If you do not understand emptiness, then you will not understand dependent origination. So that is what, when we say understanding of dependent origination comes after the understanding of emptiness, that we are referring to the more profound form of dependent origination, not the simple form, which is like son comes from the father, mother comes from grandmother, etc. Not that one. That is the more simple form. To understand that your father comes from his father, you don't need to understand emptiness. But to understand the more subtle form of dependent origination, understanding of emptiness has to go beforehand, like that. So in that understanding, so in the previous weeks we talked about the suffering of the all of the six realms, and in order to escape or in order to exit the sufferings of six realms in the samsara, one need to understand the complete the format and the process of procedure of how the 12 links of dependent origination or the 12 links are connected to each other. And by understanding that link, one can cut the chain and exit samsara. And so therefore, Acharya Nagarjuna presented the 12 links of dependent origination here for us to ponder on, to contemplate on. Mari pale le de tele ne namche tele minda sura jon tele geje to de tele ne le pa ndo jon de beso le pa le ne zo wa gunjon de zo ye shi le se ba jon wa ju le se ba le ba ke wa ke ba de tele se ba se le ke wa ga la ke wa yu na nyang na ga ta de be pon da che we ji zo ge du nyen pu ko chi du che jon de ke wa ga be di ga ba ro. So this is from verse number 109 to 111. So three verses, three stanzas. So the 12 links of dependent origination starting from ignorance and ending in death. So in order to understand the 12 links of dependent origination clearly, the Buddha himself instructed the King Bimbisara, which is one of the devout kings that, one of the benefactors, one of the greatest benefactor of the Buddha devotees and the benefactor of Buddha. So he instructed the king to install the painting of the 12 links on 12 links of dependent origination, the 12 links, onto at the temple or at the vihara, at the monasteries, so that the monks as well as the lay people who would come to listen to the who comes to the temple, who visits the temple, will be able to have a simple understanding of the 12 links just by looking at the picture. Picture speaks better than 1,000 words. So by looking at the picture, one can have an understanding of how the 12 links will work. So this particular the painting is called the Wheel of Life. So the painting of the Wheel of Life is seen in all the monasteries. In Tibetan tradition, all the monasteries, all the temples outside on the galley of the temple, we usually put that painting not inside the temple but outside, so that anyone, even tourist, can come and observe that. The Wheel of Life painting itself is quite sophisticated, and it has more than the 12 links of dependent origination. It depicts more images than just the 12 links. It has the six realms. Then it tells us where the people who do, so basically who accumulate good karma, positive karma, and negative karma, where will they end up, etc. So it's quite intricate. Yeah. So what I have done is I have taken the Wheel of Life. So from that Wheel of Life painting, I have extracted just the 12 links, okay, and then put only the 12 links into a modern day imagery, okay, and then shared it in the group, so you can check it up in the chat box. So the first picture that I sent this morning, that is the 12 links. Yeah. So we will just start from the text. I think we did it last week already, but I will just go once again. So the first verse is verse number 109. So I will just read the first line of the first verse. which is from ignorance comes action. From that. Okay, so this is the first line. From ignorance comes action, and from that. So that was the first line. So basically, we are covering ignorance and action. So these are the first two links in the 12 links of dependent origination of the 12 links of dependent chain. Yeah, the first one is ignorance, and the second one is action. The second one is karma. So there is so basically normally we call it the volitional action, volitional karma, or basically just karma. So I will go more deeper. Simple understanding is ignorance and action. So these are the first two links in the dependent 12 links. These are the first two links.
Yeah,
Ignorance
good.
and action. Now, as the Buddha instructed, we will use the imagery, we will use the illustration. So if you look at the picture that I shared this morning, the first one to depict ignorance, you will see a blindfolded man. Is it a man or a woman? I have to check. Yeah, it's a blind man. So he is a blind man, and he's using a walking stick and just stumbling around. So that is ignorance. So in the English translation is ignorance. We don't have any other words for that. It's ignorance. In the Sanskrit word for that is avidya. Tibetan, we use ma rikpa. So the Tibetan word follows exactly verbatim with the Sanskrit word, like word by word. It follows word by word. So the first, the Sanskrit word is avidya. A is a negation, negative word, meaning no or doesn't or in. Like in English, it would be something like in. And vidya is to see, to know, to recognize, to realize, to perceive. So avidya basically means unseeing, mm, uh, unknowing, unrealizing. So here the concept of the ignorance in English, we use the term ignorance, which means basically not knowing anything, just a simple form of confusion. But the term avidya, or the ignorance that is used in terms of the 12 links, is not a stagnant form of ignorance. It is a very active form of not knowing, or in other words, it's a it's a mental formation that deliberately sees something that isn't. It's a misconception uh, rather than just not knowing something. Like when you are in the darkness, when there is cloud and everything, you cannot see something, right? So ignorance here is not that kind of ignorance, not seeing something, not that one, but seeing something wrong, seeing something in an erroneous way. That is what ignorance, that is what avidya means here. So you will see in the picture there is a blind man walking with a stick, and that blind man is not blind by birth, or you will see that the blind man is blind because he has a blindfold, right? So he chose not to see. But at the same time, he's stumbling. Of course, he's struggling. And that is what we are doing a lot of time in our life, day-to-day life too. We choose not to see, even though the reality is right in front of ourselves. We choose to ignore that. We choose to neglect that. We choose to, ignore that. And then we see, okay, we see as in we try to see, we push ourselves to see the things that we want to see. We hear, we push ourselves to hear the things that we want to hear, the nice things, right? Not if you have a disliking of someone, if there is a, let's say, a celebrity or some important people that you dislike them, then you deliberately choose to hear or look on information that is negative about them. If you like someone so much, then you choose to ignore all the negative traits of that person, etc. So we choose that old man who is blind is not blind by birth. He is blind by choice. So that picture, so that is a very that picture itself is very telling. It, it's a so yeah, that one. So that in that understanding, avidya is not just a mere ignorance. It is um, it's a perception. It's a perceptive. It is a vidya, or it is a perception. It is a wisdom which has cut off its um, visibility. It's a wisdom that wishes not to be a wisdom. You have the power, you have the potential to see, but you choose to unsee it. Yeah? Normally, when we close our eyes, we say, I don't see anything. But in reality, you are actually seeing darkness. What is in front of you, let's say in front of me right now, there is a camera. But when I close my eyes, I do not see the camera. I see darkness. I see darkness. It's not like there is nothing. It's not, I don't see anything. That is wrong. But usually when we close our eyes, we will say, oh, I cannot see anything. But in reality, I cannot see anything is not true. I can see. I can see darkness. But all the time we liken darkness with nothingness. So when we see darkness, we say, I don't see anything. So in that case, like that, the old man with the blindfold is blind. And because he is blind, he's struggling with his stick to walk and to walk. He's struggling because he cannot see. He's blind because he's blindfolded. He chose to be blind. And we are all like that in samsara. We choose to be blind. We choose to be ignorant. We choose to be ignorant about when we love something or someone, we choose to be ignorant about their bad side. When we hate something or someone, we choose to be ignorant, blind about the good things about that person or that situation. And because of that, all the issues starts from there because we choose to blindfold ourselves, even though we have the potential to see. So the second one is, in simple terms, we call it karma. Second link is called karma. But if you go a little bit deeper, it's a bit more complicated than that. The actual terms that is used in the Sanskrit, the original Sanskrit term is not karma, it's samskara. The term used was samskara. The sum is same as samsara, sums. So sum is very similar to the English word sum, which is like the totality, everything put together. That is a sum. Sum, S-U-M, sum. So it's similar to that understanding. S-A-M here is basically the completeness, the togetherness. When you are together, when you are complete, it's called perfection. So basically being together, being all there, that sort of thing is what sums or sum means. You also hear that word like Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So the word sang and sum, there is a relation here. In any case, sum here means basically all together, that kind of thing. And kara, samskara, right? Kara is uh, one part of the word karma. Normally we say karma. So karma, samskara, the kara is what makes karma. So because it's related to karma, of course, but it's not exactly karma. In any case, samskara. So the sam meaning all, and kara meaning doing. So doing and acting and action are very similar words. So to simplify, so not to confuse people, so usually we use the term karma for the second link. So the actual term in Sanskrit is samskara, S-A-M-S, sams, K-A-R-A, kara. So kara is half part of karama, samskara. So anyway, so it's usually in when we read the more exclusive text, extensive text on the 12 links, we hear terms like volitional action, volitional karma, volition by will, yeah, or sometimes we call it the formation, like forming of something, yeah. And in order to depict that, we have the picture of a potter, yeah, potter making a pot. So good potter, if you make the pot with a good intention, focus well, etc., good potter makes good pot. Bad potter makes bad pot. Very simple. What that means, good karma has, when you do positive action, positive karma has positive result, joy. Positive karma brings joy. Negative karma brings the potter pot. If you firstly pay attention, you will have a good pot. If you do not pay attention, if you are not skilled, you will have a bad pot. Yeah. So the potter is the samskara. So samskara basically means formations. In order for things to form, you have to do something. So doing is the karma part. So simply put, we call it karma. Second one is we call karma or volitional action. Do something willfully. Yeah. When you do something willfully, something is formed, something comes about. So the formation starts there. So that is the second link. So number three, the link number three is translated as consciousness. So consciousness, which is understood in the pre-Buddhist teaching. So the understanding, the meaning of consciousness in the pre-Buddhist teaching and the Buddhist teaching are totally different. So normally when in pre-Buddhist teaching, in many of the Brahmanical texts, when the consciousness is mentioned, it is usually referring to something called the super consciousness. So sort of a consciousness that is pervading everything. Yeah, similar to the concept of karma, which is universal and is pervasive of everything. So, but in Buddhism, karma is individual. You know, karma is very personal, very individualistic, very personal. And consciousness also is very personal. My consciousness, your consciousness, and my consciousness also has like variations, like my eye consciousness, my ear consciousness, my nose consciousness, etc., like that, which you do not see in the non-Buddhist text. So that the interpretation is different. Anyway, consciousness, or the term in Sanskrit is vijnana. So jhana is a form of normally in English, jhana is translated as wisdom. So being able to perceive is jhana. And V-I-V, and jhana is J-N-A-N-A, jhana. Sometime in Hindi, in the Indian, they read as jnana or jhana. Anyways, the point here is that V-jhana, okay? So V-I-V means distinct, very individualistic here. So very distinct. V means distinct, different from others. V-I-V. And then jhana, which is to see, perceive. So a very distinct perception. So here, the distinct, when I say the word distinct, what it basically does is distinguishes between the subject and the object. That's one way of looking at it. So when you say consciousness here, consciousness is the um, consciousness is the non-objective matter. So you have the object like trees, mountains, bows, mobile phone. All these are objects that we utilize. Now, who uses the phone? Who uses um, the mountain, the rock, the drinks, the food, everything? Who is the utilizer? Who is the user? That is the consciousness. So because of that, so there is a distinction between sorry, who is the user? The user is the subject, right? And that subject is none other than consciousness. So because of consciousness, because of the consciousness, all these things like water, sun, everything can be used, can be utilized. Otherwise, it's just an inanimate thing, just there being out there, existing on serving no purpose, so to speak. So we get vijana. We here is to make a distinction between the subject and the object. So that's one way of looking at it. That's one way of looking at it. Yeah. So consciousness comes. In order to depict consciousness, you have a monkey jumping from a tree. Mm. Oh, yeah. That is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at the word distinct consciousness or distinctive. So the term we, which is distinct, here is because in the Buddhist understanding, there is no one super consciousness. So there is, as I said earlier, there is the eye consciousness, ear consciousness, etc. So the ear consciousness can only hear, cannot see. The eye consciousness can only see, cannot hear. The taste bud, the tongue consciousness can only taste but cannot hear or see. So in that understanding, their functions, their functions are very distinctive. Only focus on one thing. Eyes cannot hear, ears cannot see, tongues cannot touch, etc. etc. Tongues can only taste but cannot touch. Body can touch but cannot taste, etc. So very distinctive. So that's another way of looking at it, like distinctive consciousness. That's another way of looking at the word distinctive. V. So that in order to depict that, we have the picture of a monkey jumping from a tree. So first, so in order to understand that, don't focus on any other picture, just the picture of a monkey in monkey climbing on a tree. So picture this beautiful piece of land without the monkey. It's very beautiful. There is a sun, there is a tree, there is river, there is water, everything there. But without the monkey, there is no consumer, there is no user, there is nobody to enjoy or to manipulate or abuse or anything. Just by without the existence without the existence of the monkey, uh, the mountain and the whole thing, the whole landscape is just there, inanimate, is not serving any purpose, so to speak. Now, when the monkey comes into the picture, then the monkey can see the river, can and then he can go and take a swim, can see the fruit and pluck it, etc. So you know that in the in the concept of evolution in the Abrahamic religion, like when God created the world for 7 days, then there was all the other animals and basically everything else was created. And until but then the God felt then God felt something is lacking without some living beings, so to speak. There is something is missing. There's no excitement. So that's why God created Adam and Eve, that the concept in the Abrahamic religion. So it's very similar to that thing. Without the monkey coming into play, everything is just there, and is when there is no user, so to speak, when there is no consumer, there is nobody to enjoy or manipulate or do anything about the landscape, then it is just there, bearing out. But when the user, the enjoyer, the person comes into the picture, then the trees become beautiful, the fires become hot, and the water quenches the thirst, and it comes to serve a purpose. Without the uh, animate beings coming into the picture, those inanimate objects are basically objects. They do not serve any purpose, so to speak. So that is the understanding. So the monkey coming into the picture, the monkey jumping from one tree to another tree, the monkey is using or utilizing, seeing, eating, enjoying, manipulating, breaking down, etc., all this landscape. So because of the monkey, everything else comes into life. So monkey represents the life. That's one thing. Yeah, that's one of the reason why monkey is represented there. Another thing is monkey jumping from one tree to another tree basically means consciousness. This is very important. Consciousness is what carries the seed of good karma and bad karma to the next step. So if you are dying, your body is decomposed, burned, buried like that. But the uh, your karmic deed, your karmic accounting is not closed. It's still there. And where was everything, your good thing and bad thing written? Is written on the consciousness. It's embedded in the as a data. That data is embedded in the consciousness. So the monkey carries the good karma from one tree to the other tree. Monkey carries the bad karma from one tree to the other tree, like that. So the monkey has two purposes. Yeah. Because of the monkey, because there is a monkey, everything comes into life, colorful, exciting. Another thing is monkey brings or carries the karma from one lifetime to another lifetime, from today to tomorrow, from now to later, etc. So you might think, okay, without the monkey, it looks very beautiful. The lush greenery, the water is flowing very nicely, and the mountain, the sun, everything is very beautiful. The monkey comes into the picture and then it destroy everything, very nasty, naughty, and this and that. But when you feel like, okay, without the monkey, the river's running beautifully, everything's nice. When you think like that, then you become the monkey actually, because now you are the subject, and the river, the the mountain, all this thing becomes your object. So you drive away the monkey because you don't want the monkey. With the monkey, there is so much distraction. So you drive the monkey out, and then you think you are enjoying, you are doing some great service, but actually you are not. You become the monkey now. And we do this in our day-to-day life. Like when we go for a holiday, vacation, we go to a popular tourist spot. Then we say, oh, too many tourists here. They destroyed the environment, right? A lot of time we say that. But when we say that, we are actually part of the tourist too. So we actually want to go to a very popular tourist spot, like a very beautiful landscape or something, what they call it, vantage point, very nice, beautiful landscape, and then just enjoy it by ourselves without any other tourist. So you want to drive away the monkey. When you drive away the monkey, you become the monkey. So the next, we have the picture of a boat, two boatmen, or basically there's a boat and the boatman. And this is called, in Sanskrit, it's called Namarupa. Namarupa. In English, it would be name and form. So Rup means form, and Nama is name. Yeah. So name and form and name. So let me explain the form first, because then the name the form is easier to understand. So Rupa or form is the the physical aspect of the body. The physical part of the body, the more solid part of the body, like the bones, the flesh, it's basically those things that are visible, that are tangible. You can touch, you can feel it, this and that. So that's the form, because it has a form, it has a shape, it can be perceived, you know. So that is the form part, right? And then there is the nama, which is name. It has a name, it has a label, but you cannot actually grasp it. You cannot actually grab it, like feeling, like perception, like your thoughts, like your emotion. Mm. So all the mind, so what we call the mind and the mental factors. So all different type of mental factors, like your anger, your attachment, all these things, you cannot grasp them. At least you cannot grab them willfully, right? We have grasping, of course, we have clinging, we have attachment, but we do not do it willfully. Yeah. When we want to get rid of an attachment, we cannot do that. When we want to get rid of hatred, we cannot do that. Very difficult, because it's not a physical thing. If it's a physical thing, you can always remove it. Yeah, something very severe as something very severe like a tumor, cancer tumor, even tumor, even though it's one of the most complicated procedure, it can still be removed through a different procedure, surgery, laser, etc. But when it comes to a mental thing, you cannot remove it because it's not physical. So basically, nama rupa is physical and non-physical. Now, this is depicted by the boat. So you have the boat, which is the car, which is the physical. Then you have the boatman, which is the driver, which is the mental, right? So you have the car and the driver. You have the boat and the boatman. You have the physical and the mental. Mm. So that is the Namarupa. So after that comes the Namarupa. Mm. After that comes the Sadyatana, Sat Ayatana. Okay, Sadyatana. So basically that is translated as the six senses. So you have so we have the five senses, very easy to understand, right? The eye, the ear, the this and that. So the sixth one is the mental sense, or the mental source. So you have the eye sense, which to see, the ear sense to hear, nasal sense to smell, and the tongue sense so I will not go on, but the five senses plus the mental sense. So mental sense, so what is the difference between the five sense and the mental sense? So what is the mental sense so distinct about? So the five senses are very direct. You cannot the eyes, sorry, the nose cannot think of a smell. Okay, the nose can only smell something that is directly in front of it. When you spray a perfume or you're baking a cake, you can smell it directly. When the cake is not there, the nose cannot smell it, right? But when I mention cake, when I mention a very tasty cake, or when I mention a very nice smell, perfume, you have an imagination of that smell in your mind. That is the mental formation or the mental sense of, basically it's a memory, of course. You are picking the memory of a scent that you have uh, sniffed before, and then playing it in your memory. So basically, even though there is no beautiful picture lying in front of you, or a wonderful smell coming in front of you directly, you can still play that image in your mind. That is the mental sense. So five sense plus mental sense, that is six senses. So the six senses are the Sanskrit is Sadda Saddayatana. So Sad means six. Ayatana means, so literal meaning of the word ayatana is a base, like a base. Yeah, there's a base. So you have five bases, six bases. So to understand it more and to make it more convenient to understand, you have six sources. Or to make it even more easy to understand, there are six portals, like a gateway, openings. So in order to simplify that, we have the picture of a house. Okay, if you look at the picture, you have the house with six doors. Yeah, six windows, sorry. So sometimes there's five windows and one door, or basically so windows and doors, so which is a portal, which is a gateway. So the six senses are that is the gateway. So in that, and so basically the physical form, the physical aspect of the six senses are being formed within the fetus, within the body, within the baby. Okay, so that's where you have the six senses. Yeah, six senses are there. Hmm. So for the six sources or the six bases, you have the house, and then so one thing is that since number three, which is consciousness, the previous life's consciousness is already entered the new life. So when the monkey is jumping from one tree to another, so this is jumping from the past life to the next life, afterlife. And then when the nama rupa is formed, you have the nama, which is the all the emotion and the mental aspect, and then the rupa, basically the embryo, what do you call it? Yeah, that one is formed. Then like that. But then at that moment, it cannot sense anything. It has no feeling, nothing. Then comes the number five, which is the six sources or the six senses. Then you have the doorway, the basically the portal, the sensorial preceptors are opening up. Okay. Now after that, number six. Now we are going to talk about number six. Sparsha. Sparsha basically means to touch in Sanskrit. So sparsha is the contact. Okay. Contact. It's here it refers to contact, touching. The literal meaning of sparsha is to touch. So here is contact. Now when the opening the windows are opened, when the windows are open, when you open your windows, when you open your curtains, you can see the outside world. So now the contact is coming. So in order to portray that, so image doesn't have to relate to each other. Okay, image, the 12 images in there, the 12 illustration only depicts what that particular topic is about, that particular link is about. It doesn't have to connect with the previous image. Okay, so you have the picture of a couple embracing each other. Sometimes they are kissing, sometimes they are just embracing, so in a different way. So here we have a couple embracing each other. So that is the sense of contact, sense of touch. So in order to illustrate it vividly, clearly, you have the concept of contact. In order to illustrate the concept of contact vividly, the picture of a couple embracing, sometimes mostly it's a kissing scene. In the traditional scene, it would be a kissing scene. So you have the kissing part. So when you are kissing someone, the sense of contact is very strong. Yeah. So the contact comes after that. So what that basically means is when the windows are open, the curtains are open, now you are connecting to the outside world. Outside meaning before that, you're just a Namarupa, and the Namarupa can now have the six doors, six portals, and through the sixth portal, then the Namarupa or the baby can connect to the world. So after the sparsha, after the contact, after the touching doesn't necessarily mean touching with hand. So when your eye sees an object, your eyes is touching that thing. So when you can hear a voice, it's touching that. So that's what touching here means. So contact basically. So when you are in contact with something, an object, then you start to develop feeling for it. Whether so they're feeling there are three feeling: like, dislike, and neutral. Yeah. So pleasure, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. So um, depending on that, some you like when you see, let's say, some form of light, too much light, you don't want to see it. You want a little bit of, you want to avoid the light. You don't want too much sun. You go inside the house, sit under the tree, etc. But too much darkness you don't like, so you start switching on the light or going outside. So basically like that. So that is the feeling of dislike, liking, pleasure, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. So the feeling starts to develop after that. After having contact with any object outside, then you start developing feeling for it. So once you develop a feeling of like and dislike, then you started to have attachment towards it. So in this particular case, the attachment in this particular case is called Trishna. So Trishna, literal meaning is thirsty, like thirst, you want to drink water. So when you are feeling so thirsty, you cannot do without water. You become desperate to have water. Like that, attachment, craving, when you have a craving for anything, the food, physical contact, spiritual solace, whatever you're looking for, when you don't get it, you feel so desperate. That's Trishna. So you really want it. So in order to depict that, there is the picture of a person drinking uh, mm, alcohol. So I think previously did I mention the feeling part? Already I did, right? So for the feeling part, I forgot to explain about the picture. So the picture for the feeling is somebody shot in the eye with an arrow. So when you are shot in the so eye is the most uh, sensible
Sensitive lah.
sensitive, yeah. Eye is the most sensitive part of the body. So when somebody hit the eye, you feel it the most. So that's why the eye shot arrow in the air, arrow in the eye was put there. Okay, that is one. So the next one, craving, which we are talking about right now, is someone drinking alcohol. So you think it's water, is not water, it's alcohol. So basically, people drinking alcohol, drinking become an addict, drunk, and then you want to drink more and more and more in order to quench the thirst. You are drinking more alcohol, so which will not help. You need to drink something else. By drinking more alcohol, you'll become more thirsty. So basically, you are ending up in that loop. Yeah, that's a trishna, which is thirst or craving. So after that is upadana. Okay, so upadana is basically to grasping or clinging. Clinging means you have something. I grab something. Okay, I grab something, then I cling on to it. I'm not letting go of it. I'm grabbing something is one thing. That's the grip is not that strong. After I grab something, I do not want to give it to anyone else. So I grasp onto it, cling onto it. So basically, it is intensifying the craving aspect. So for the craving part, you have the drunk, uh, the drunk person. The drunk man is the craving part, and for the upadana, you have the monkey holding on to or grasping the fruit. Okay, so upadana literally means fuel, like firewood or oil, etc. So in ancient India, upadana is used. It basically means fuel. Literal meaning is fuel. So it's fueling the intensity, or basically it's fueling your craving. It's intensifying the craving. That's upadana. So there's two monkey. There is the consciousness monkey. Number three is consciousness monkey. Then number nine is the grasping monkey. So two monkeys. The first monkey jumping from one tree to another tree is a wandering monkey. It's a lost monkey, not fixated. Number nine monkey is fixated on that fruit. Until he gets the fruit, he will not leave. Whether there is a danger to his life, whatever, doesn't care. He will not leave until he get the fruit. So number three monkey is lost, wandering. Monkey number nine is fixated, clinging, not letting go, like that. And after that comes the birth, becoming. So this is quite kind of complicated. Becoming, so the term is very simple, becoming, or also the term is to be, right? Birth, which is bhava in Sanskrit. So the meaning behind that is that to come into existence through clinging onto something. That is basically means you come into existence through your karmic consequences, karmic accumulation of good karma and bad karma. You come into existence. So bhava means to become or to be. So you are being what you are. So you know what they say, like whatever you are is because of your karma. So this is the literal meaning of that. So what you become, what you are being. Are you a happy person, unhappy person? You are, a rich person, sad person, whatever. You have like disabilities, you have special abilities, incapabilities, uh, wisdom, stupidity, whatever. Your sense of being is produced by your past lives karma, past karma, basically. So it's connected to the karma. So when we say being here, you're not talking about just a mere sense of being. You are, remember what we talk about? This comes from that. So the being part, you're existent into samsara. You are a stupid person, you are a clever person, you are a rich person, you are suffering. That this comes from that. So that becoming, the being or the becoming aspect of your life is because of that, which is your karma. So this is the meaning of bhava, or being.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's called, we also use the term existence. So your very existence itself is because this very existence is because of that. Yeah, like that. So to describe a bhava, we have a pregnant woman. So she is bringing, I mean, how to say, she's making the becoming of the kid possible. So the kid is becoming because of the mother, right? So that's the one. Then after that comes the actual birth itself. So you come into the world now. So there is the birth, which is uh, you have a girl, you have a pregnant woman giving a birth. It's yeah, that is the birth itself. Yeah. So which is jati, that means to produce or to create. So you have the birth. Then you have the aging and death together. So the literal translation is the Jara Marana, which is uh, the uh, aging part. So aging, literal meaning of Jara is to decay, decompose, no, no, uh, degenerate, decay, etc. So which is basically aging. And through aging, you come to the conclusion, which is death, right? So death is not sudden, even though we always think death is sudden, but death has been becoming for the last 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 70 years. It has been going on. Death is a process. So the whole process of decaying is the process of death itself. So through decay, through degradation, one reaches death. Like that. So death and aging and death are packed as one. Because when we talk about aging, we always think, oh, when you reach 80 years old, 90 years old, then you are old. That's not the case. From the day you were born, you start becoming old. So you become older year by year, day by day, minute by minute, like that. You are getting older and older. So old, age, and death are packed as one. So that is the 12 links of dependent origination. So because of time constraint, I will stop the session here. But I believe there's few questions there. So I will pick the questions, okay? I will respond to the questions.
Yeah,
So
Rinpoche.
the first question is that which deity with a wrathful appearance? So the wheel of life, which is in all the Tibetan monasteries. Um, so it has actually it is being held. So wheel of life is basically a wheel, and that wheel is held by a person, a very wrathful person, holding the wheel with his hands and feet. So the question was, who is that person, or that wrathful person who is holding uh, that wheel? So I don't know the name of that particular deity. I don't have it now, but I think the drawing the wheel of life with the wrathful deity is a Tibetan aspect. It's not available back in the day in Indian tradition. But it can, I think the Wheel of Life is so basically there's a, so it's easier for people to picture it. So they put that the wrathful deity. And usually when we were we were told, hmm, when we go to the temple, our parents and our elders usually tell us that the wrathful deity is what we call Yamaraja, or the Dhamaraja, or Yamaraja. So basically, that is the king of the Yamaraja is the king of death, and he lives in hell realm, and giving judgment to people who do good thing and bad thing, etc. So that is the um, what do you call that, common tale that we were being told. But in the sutra itself, you don't find any mention of that deity. He
Yeah.
does have a he does have a special another name for he does have his own specific name, but I don't have it at the moment. Yeah. You are usually when we were kids, we were told by our elders that this is Dhamaraja, Yamaraja, which is the king of death or the lord of the hell realm. Yamaraja is said to be the final judge, So so when you look at the Wheel of Life, you also see that picture of the wrathful deity, which is referred to as Yamaraja. So Yamaraja, which is the final judge. When you meet the final judge, then it's too late. So so when you're going to when you observe the when you go to the temple and walk around, you look at the judge quite often. Then you're always reminded, okay, you have to have an encounter with uh, the Yamaraja at the last during the final judgment. So therefore, be wary of that. Be careful of what you do. Right. So it's a reminder for that. In our popular legend, we have it that when someone dies, you go to Yamaraja, and Yamaraja has this big mirror, right? And in that mirror, basically your actions in this life will be displayed. So when you look now, if you look at the picture of the Wheel of Life with the Yamaraja at the back, it looks like Yamaraja is showing you your life's mirror. So basically your life's record, the good thing and the bad thing, everything. So he's showing you a record. This is what you have done. So you have to go here, go there, go this and that. As I said, this is a sort of a pictorial representation of what's going to happen. It's not necessarily, as I said, this is not in the original sort of Wheel of Life painting by the Buddha. And in actuality, in reality, when you die, you don't have to go to Yamaraja, and Yamaraja does not make a decision. Nothing like that thing happened. When you go to the destination that you deserve or you have earned or you deserve because of your karma. It just gets selected uh, automatically. There is no person, no judge, no final judge to give you a final judgment. No such thing as that. But for someone to have a easier understanding or to get a picture, some sort of a clear picture of what's the Wheel of Life is, then these kind of mythological uh, depictions are helpful. So
Yeah.
now another question, it's a very important question. It's is the karma carried by the stream of consciousness? So we are talking about the monkey jumping from one tree to another. So I said the karmic seeds planted in this life is carried by the consciousness. So it's carried by stream of consciousness, or is it the consciousness? So that was the question. Or is it the same? Should we consider it the same? So the answer is it's carried by a stream of consciousness. That's correct. So it's like a monkey jumping from one tree to another. The consciousness, the karmic seed is passed from one tree to another. Uh, so I know where the confusion comes because the consciousness is the monkey. So there's the same monkey jumping from one tree to another tree. So does that mean it's the same consciousness carrying all the karmic seed? No, because then the consciousness would have to be impermanent, unchanging. but that's not the case. Consciousness is a momentary thing. Today's consciousness, tomorrow's consciousness is different. So it's keep changing. The stream of consciousness is there, and it's being passed from one consciousness to the another consciousness like that. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the extra time. So now we will do the dedication,
Yeah.
please.
Rinpoche La, before you dedicate La, we would like to request you that because next week would be the Losar, the Lunar New Year in Vietnam. So we would like to request Rinpoche La to postpone for 2 weeks during the Losar.
Sure.
And you start again on the 1st of March. 1st
Okay.
of March. So
Okay.
you start teaching again. So we have
Sure,
2
sure,
weeks
sure.
off, Rinpoche La.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, please dedicate La.
Okay,
Bây giờ
thank
chúng
you.
ta hồi hướng công đức ạ. Yeah.
Yewan di nyodo da lama sangye drugyo ne drowa chekyang mali ban kege sala ge para sho chanjo semch rembo je ma ge panam ge yuro je keba nyamba me bara kone kondo be wara sho me se we de je Jésus, me kebe, boy, boy, jambe, ya, de boy, ma, le, jomo, ze, sang, we, na, kan, je, ge, ben, zo, gen, zon, gan, ba, lo, zo, joy, be, shai, lo, so, wan, de, Loi sai chai me shai loi soi wai de Tembe nimbo zimbe pe la jin la mando yu kun la chan ju be lop san che ge kem zo chu ten ge cho den tam bar so wa de
Thank you, Rinpoche La. Cảm
Thank
ơn
you. Thank you, Chiwang.
Thank you
tất
very
cả
much,
anh
Rinpoche
em.
La. Happy
Thank
New
you
Year,
so much.
Rinpoche
Happy
La.
New Year to all of
Losar,
you.
Rinpoche La.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Rinpoche La.
Xin được
Công
chúc
đức của
Tết.
đạo
Thank
sư
you.
và xin tri ân công đức
Happy
của
New
đạo
Year.
đạo hiếu tùy công đức của đạo hiếu
Bye-bye.
ạ. Happy New Year, Rinpoche La.